Welcome, Arnold, Kijos, Daniel, and Arnold again, and Astral. Good to see you guys, and indeed, happy Friday. It's finally good weather in the Netherlands, so that's something positive. Let's wait a little longer before we get started. Welcome, Wes, as well. So we have this local range, but we seem to fail to accumulate. Instead, we are creating some supply and also have this internal structure now. So we can just watch what happens here. If we flip it, then bullish plan is back alive, but for now it doesn't look all too good. But overall, Bitcoin has been chopping like crazy this week. We have our Monday's low and then the Thursday's high, but the distance between our Monday's low and our weekly high, so our weekly low to weekly high, is only 2.8%, which is super tight. And as I shared earlier, based on the statistics, we can see that over the past 5 years, unlikely that P2 is in 100% of the weeks moved further than 0, min 2.8%. So this is a week, and of course we still have a few days, but either today we make the move or like weekend is super choppy overall. But this is a very improbable week so far with just a 2.8% range from low to high. And also, if you look at this price action, it's what is it? It's nothing. So I think for most people, like I didn't had a lot of trades again. I missed out on some good potential ones. So the wins could have been much better, but overall, I think if you look at just Bitcoin's price behavior, and that we only made a 2.8% move from low to high, and that within that range, this happened. I think overall, it's good if you did not lose a lot of money this week. Welcome, Sudo, Zach, and Slatan as well. Okay, so regarding Bitcoin, if we zoom out a bit, we broke down from this range we were earlier, and right now we are chopping around here a lot. I'm just gonna lead this local price action because to me it's all noise. It's not a clean range, it's just a crazy chop. So how I'm seeing it right now is that this can just be a new range, low to high, and that this is the range to work with. Range low, range high, and this can be a better range to start working with because we have on the upper side we have local supply, and you have structure here and your VWAP. So if we look at the structure from the up, from the high, you basically have low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Then here you have some structure, lower low, lower high, and then lower low. So at the top of your range, you have some interesting levels because either you SFP market structure high and then get back under it, and then we can play a distribution from here. Or if you break above it, then you get a structure break. So I really like how this is developing so far. To look for distributions up here or for accumulations down here, because we are also getting closer to our daily market structure level. So on the high time frame is if bulls want to step in, they should do it anywhere here. So this is a good level to look for accumulations, and this is a good level to look for distributions. And overall, yeah, local price action, horrible. We did had this initial range from low to high, where we kind of had a 1, then very sketchy 2, and then that 3, which consisted out of a super local 3 drive. And I still see it mainly like a kind of a PO3 of the Mondays range, in which you can draw it. Let's delete it for now. Mondays high to Mondays low, and that this was basically the deviation. This was the test yesterday on that kind of news pump. I don't know. I'm getting lost of all the news regarding Iran and stuff. So, but it was a push into supply and then rejected again. However, there was not really an entry for short because this move was super aggressive. So you only had like high, higher, low, higher, high. So in this move, there was no structure to confirm a bearish boss. And right now we are just, yeah, if we put on the mid range, near the mid range with sell side liquidity below right now from this low, higher low, and then all these stack lows. And to the upside, we are also creating liquidity with basically these stacked highs. So this is, yeah, the perfect conditions for a range where right now there's not much to do. We are right in the middle. But we have a good range with, as I said before, the good levels to the upside where bearish structure aligns, and then to the downside, the bullish structure aligns. And within a range, price always moves from liquidity to liquidity. And since we now have liquidity above and liquidity below, that is the perfect environment for a range. So just waiting, do you first go for the range high liquidity or for the range low liquidity? And in the meantime, there's not much to do right here. And also because the whole week has been choppy as fuck. So then you have to ask yourself if you are willing to enter the choppy environment, and then also at the mid range, which is the worst possible place to get into positions. So not much to do until we get some action on Bitcoin. And again, like a 2.8% range for the week. It's crazy. But the new range I'm watching is weekly low, weekly high, and this now also to use as our range to work with. Deviate the range highs for shorts or deviate the range lows for longs. And more locally, I was watching that potential range right here. Let's clean it up. From high to low. But we failed to confirm it. We first had tap 1 right here. And potentially tap 2 with a local accumulated behavior. And then 3, but it failed to break this structure back to bullish. And instead we swept it and are now going down. So I never like to look for a 4 tap, for example, because this is just a failed accumulation. And more often it's bearish than bullish. Just the same as a failed distribution often is bullish. So until proven otherwise, this looks pretty weak and could extend lower. Also because there was key demand right here, which needed to hold. Basically this last level. Price is currently in it. So either they buy back it from here, but for me to enter longs, not really anything to do beside that we break structure back to bullish, which is basically this local downtrend. So then I want to see price get back above this breakdown level. But if we zoom out, price left supply behind. So then you have supply and a bearish market structure. So until proven otherwise, this is just a resistance potentially for a lower high, for a lower low. And if we look to the downside, what is there to support price? There is, beside this demand where price is currently in, nothing to hold price up. You only have liquidity. So from here, it can quickly go to the downside. But if you flip this level, then it can also really quickly go to the upside. So basically 50-50, which is not something I would bet on. So locally, nothing to do. You can set an alert a little lower for the reaction there. And if I would look for trades, then I'm not really interested because there's no model at all. But if I would want to trade, more likely that it's a short and then continue lower. But all pretty low probability, so I'm not really interested in trading it. Let's look at the chat. Welcome Dylan and welcome Michael Sniper as well. Compression Friday, perfect environment for Trump to release some news later on. Yeah, probably could very well be the case that he's gonna get some news again indeed. Market looks like it's just waiting for some action as well. So let me put an alert down here and also one up there. Yeah, so for BTC there's not much to say beside this. You can look at USDT. USDT is still in this uptrend and we had a bullish range. So high to low. And unproven otherwise, this can just be high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So it's a bullish range where an accumulation is more likely than a distribution. And the price is here just holding the local demand here, holding the anchored VWAP, and is sitting in this range. So also here not much to do besides waiting for the range extremes. There is liquidity above. So if this starts accelerating higher, then it can go back to the highs, but also locally, we're also building like pretty weak structure. So also here, not really a clean, super clean bias or a setup or anything. And we can have a look at Sol, what Sol did. Okay, back into demand. Interesting. That makes me feel a little bit better about missing it. Because the model itself was super, super clean, where you have range high, range low, tap 2, tap 3. So basically model 1 broke structure back to bullish right here. And then this was the extreme demand level. So price came into extreme demand, where you also had kind of a local model 1 again. Right here, 1, 2, 3, and then price broke structure back to bullish right here. So that's basically the model 1 into model 2, in which the model 2 even has a local model 1. So you cannot ask for much more as a confluence. But price rallied higher, but it's stuck at the value area high, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, so price went from value area low to value area high and then rejected, basically broke structure back to bearish right here. So now I'm not interested in the trade anymore. However, I would have taken this trade any day. Like on the break, it's a bit difficult to enter directly, but this is just a valid setup to take. Just unfortunate that it rejected because Bitcoin was weak as fuck. But if Bitcoin would have consolidated, then pretty sure that this would have just hit the take profit. So right now, not really interested in a model again. Also because you took out most of the liquidity already. So then there's not really a good reason to go back up. Only if you maybe create new liquidity and then get like an internal model, then it can make sense to trade it again. Because technically this is still a confirmed protected low, and this is still the target. However, structure-wise, I would not bet on that right now. But we can keep an eye on it. Let's put an alert there. Get away with this. That as well. If we just zoom out, it can also be that this local model 1 failed to hit the target, but that the new range is basically the one right here, where you now have tab 1 at the high and tab 1 at the low, and that this is the bigger range in the making. That will also be a nice one to look at, because I believe we have some demand. Let's see. 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah, so you have this 10-minute demand block before that expansion. So a nice demand POI below the range. So that gives confluence to potentially look for tab 2s inside that level. So this is a nice range. Let's look, alert and alert. But yeah, the way you come down right now, that's not really what you want to see. And if we zoom out, overall structure also choppy. It can also that we just break down, that we not hold this local range, but instead break down. If that happens, then I'm watching this also as a new big range with range low, range high. And that this is just, let's see. Yeah, this is the new range. Range low, range high, and that this is just all internal. That looks a bit more likely if I zoom out, to be honest. So just keep an alert in that demand to watch for potential scalps. But overall, I can see this just chop around and then either distribute or accumulate at those levels. So it seems that the chop is not over yet on most coins. Yeah, it's pushing back to the mid-range. So crypto still pretty boring. What is gold doing? Okay, gold has been fucking around a bit. We had that long earlier, which I already explained, the wrong execution. But we are now reaching my level where I had interest, which is basically this demand level overlapping with the fib level. So it's always a really nice confluence to look for a higher low. And then combining that with tab 1, this basically being tab 2, and here tab 3 can be formed. Like that. I'm still looking for that. But as you guys know, I want to see it slowly reaching those levels. So you get structure to work with and not this. Because this is now probably leaving supply behind. Do we have supply? Yeah, so you have 30. Basically, this is your supply. And it's Friday, so maybe this just stays here and then first comes back up to that supply, comes back down. And then I'm still really interested to look for the third tab. So let's put an alert. The high. Oh. And alert there, and then the alert a little lower. We can also extend the range. Let me delete this. To here. So then this is the clean range to work with. And price currently stuck between supply and demand. This is now the extreme demand to look, but technically you can also say that this low here is your extreme liquidity. So we can also keep an eye on that. But yeah, this will also take some time before it will give a new setup. Welkom Lise and welcome Rice Baby. Slatan. Not sure if Tiger's in here, but we need a fast reversal. Yeah, you guys are in the long, right? I'm not sure where your invalidations are, but it's not looking too good, objectively speaking. But it can always change any moment. But overall, I think we will reach those levels. So that is the view on gold. It's clean it up. You can also quickly look at silver. Arnold is in a short. 4521. Cool. 4521. Oh, that's a nice one, Arnold. Then what is silver doing? Silver is in this basically the same range. With a local 1, 2, 3. And it can basically also, like a gold, potentially flow over into a model 1 into model 2. But for that I'm also looking at lower levels. And overall this range is not really looking too good. So also need some time. But there is some sell pressure across most of the assets, it seems. Yeah, so Bitcoin is dumping. It was not really a short setup. Besides that one I was talking about yesterday, which was this mitigation. So it could have been a trade, but not really a high probability one. So that is dumping. Sol, yeah, not looking at that local range anymore because this is way too aggressive. So likely that this is the new range in the making. Where's the mid range? For that to validate, we first need to go lower though. And what is the rest doing? Hype. Depth. Let's see. So first we had, if we look at the structure, we had 1 hour structure here. So super bullish trend. But there was structure here, high, higher low, higher high. And in the uptrend, SFPs that are, if you have a strong trend, so uptrend or downtrend, then swing failures are super powerful. Because here you can see that they tried to break 1 hour structure, but they failed. It turned into a swing failure, which technically means that the high that brought you into that low is now a targeted high. So from market structure perspective, that high is likely to be taken next. So we can draw a new range simply from high to low and then monitor this the development of this one. It's not really an accumulation to play down here, it seems. But right now it's worth watching this range, and especially if we take the high, how that happens, because the trend is super strong. But if you SFP it, so fail to break above, that can be a sign that this is potentially a distribution in the making. But high time frame trend is still super strong. So let's see if we take the high, how it takes the high. If it has a good close above or a strong move above, then I'm not really looking at it from a distribution perspective, because then it's still likely that you just trend higher. So that's it for hype. Ripple had this range, which played out pretty nicely with range low, range high, then tap 2. And this was the first lower high. So the extreme liquidity level. I can see that price took almost all liquidity. So from a trade perspective, not really a trade to take, but it's still a model 2, took extreme liquidity, and then went on its way to the range low. However, also in this example, not really any structure in this move. Besides 3 minutes. Yeah, so you had right here pullback with multiple candles. So that is basically your 3-minute bearish bulls. So if you wanted to play the model 2, it would have been valid to take it on that bulls. Let's say you take it here, stop at that high and then target the low. which would have been a nice 3.5R. But the reason why I didn't take it is because you already took almost all sell-side liquidity. So there's not really a magnet to go much lower. And you came up super aggressive. So valid trade, but not one I was willing to take. But could have been a nice winner. What more do we have? Ooh. Yeah, so last week, or was it this week? I'm losing track of time. But we had that range here, then we broke to the upside, where I said pretty likely that if you reverse from this range, that you go towards this liquidity point, because this is no supply and only liquidity. And price also did that, so you can see right now, where it took this liquidity point and filled part of that gap above. So right now we can watch, because high time frame still looks pretty heavy, for potential shorts up here. If we look at this structure, you have low, lower high, deep lower low, but this can be the lower high for the lower low. And then this can be potentially your new range. If you, let's say you go to that high, then this can be your range low, this your range high. And if then from there you start accumulating, that would be a great bottom. Especially if we take out that unfinished candle still there. But this is far ahead in the future. For now, I'm more interested in shorts because the dominant trend is down. So then it aligns with looking for a continuation of that trend. And if we pull a fib, let's see where the levels are. Fib. Yeah, look. That's top of the supply, super strong supply, where you can see that buy to sell with imbalance between it. So this is a lot of supply with fib confluence and in alignment with the bearish trend. So really interesting shorts. And we already have a tap 2. So right now you have tap 1, you have tap 2. It stayed within the deviation threshold. Yeah. So then this can technically be extended. And then a model 1 would be preferred to fill that imbalance into that supply and then short it all the way down. And that can be a super, super interesting short because there's also not a lot of demand left behind. It's pretty weak grind up. And as we know, that can then very quickly flush back down again. Similar as you did here for reversal back down. So alerts above and a model 2, does that make sense? Not really. This move is super strong, also no structure in it. So you cannot really confirm a break of structure until you break below this. So I'm more looking for that model 1. That will be a monster short if we get it. So time to pay attention. I'm gonna also set an alert right here in case a model 2 forms. And at the lows. If we first start accumulating, would also be the case. Then look to trade the accumulation and then potentially over into distribution. That's early to talk about. But this looks pretty good on the high time frame. Because we have a lot of reasons to go lower. We have that multi-candle, unfinished candle. The daily, weekly, monthly, I don't know how many candles it were. And we have this crazy liquidity below it, which is just a matter of time before we take that out, in my opinion. This is super ugly. So let's see, good range in the making. Arnold always counter trades us, which say it all makes sense now. I haven't traded Tau the whole week. I'm sad about it. Yeah, me neither. It's if Tau ranges, then it's super nice. But if it trends, then yeah, it leaves a lot of liquidity behind, so it doesn't really gives any swing failures or trades. But this is a solid range in the making, so hopefully we can extract this range again. I fumbled Tau on Monday badly, had a nice distribution, did it be and got stopped out. Monday, you had a long on. You had a short here. Then it would have been or you're long. I think you are long. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense. Yeah, yeah. That would have been a super nice one. But yeah, now look for the short. We can trade with the trend. So this is an example, the opposite of what we had on hype, where you long or you take accumulations with the trend. This would now be a potential distribution with the bearish trend. And that is super nice confluence, because then you have market structure and distributions, basically all we trade, but then everything aligns with each other. So time to pay attention to Tau. And beside that, yeah, what is happening? Boring week so far. Not only crypto, but most assets are just ranging. So hopefully next week there's some more action. But we have some nice ranges in the making. So I'm optimistic for coming week. Sol tapped into the demand, but I don't like the structure. With this move down. You also have supply right there. So I don't think there's a new trade for me to end the week. I felt optimistic before New York, but New York sold off again, basically invalidating any potential trade. And now it's in the middle of nowhere. Although it's more bearish, so it looks, I think it's a matter of time now that we take this liquidity. So maybe if you get like a 3 drive with the bearish bulls right here, you can trade it towards the range low. But that are more like continuation trades and not really a clean model or anything, which is for me at least my edge. Why do I have to, so that's basically it. Not much else to talk about. Maybe if you guys have, let me know if you have a question or want me to look at anything. Otherwise, I can keep talking, but there's basically nothing interesting to say at this point. I like the additions to the Discord. Already an amazing reflection by Kijos. But if more of us start doing that, it can be really insightful, because in the end, everyone experience is the same. So reading that that others are having the same problems or difficulties helps quite a lot. Manipulation. DD is super optimist. Yeah, I believe you should always try to be optimistic. Better to be an optimist and be wrong than a pessimist and be right. Manipulation hour is over. Do you also agree with first hour of New York being manipulation? Not really. It can be manipulation, but a lot of times they then at the start take liquidity. So then I see this as the manipulation, and now that you get the downside continuation. And even if it's the manipulation, you still need a setup here. This, to me, this cannot give a setup any moment. Or you need to get like low, low, high, and then try to get in here in a demand zone or anything. But it's all, no, doesn't look good. Can have a look at the order flow, by the way. Thoughts on Ton and ZEC potential bullish PO3. Let me check both. First, the order flow. Yeah, so basically this whole week, we can merge them into each other and then we can see what the volume profile is. Yeah, then this price is currently around the point of control of this whole week. So that's not where you want to act. But we are seeing some aggressive selling. And yeah, spots look directly on the open. Spot started selling pretty heavily. And right now we have some negative, probably negative delta, but it looks also like buying. So let me check if we can see it more clearly what it is. Yeah, it's some heavy, or it's also some buying. But yeah, overall, I only look at heavy negative delta in a PY. Right now we are in the middle of nowhere, so then it's just noise. So let's look at the coins, which are Ton. Yeah, so testing this horizontal, which is a pretty big level. You have quite a lot of liquidity above, not much below. Yeah, on the 4-hour you have a downtrend. So this is the internal bearish main structure. Yeah, not really clean. It looks like most coins this week, with just a lot of super choppy price action. So then I rather look at it just from a new range, like this. And then it looks to me more distributive with this, 1, 2, 3, kind of a 4, with a lot of liquidity below. So if I had to guess, I think range lows are next, which would also align with the overall move down, because this was a super heavy news driven pump, and then either you have momentum, or if it's strong, then you would like to see price holding higher levels. Like if it holds here, then it can be a sign that it continues bullish. Right now it had a crazy pump, and since then basically only weakness. So that's not what you want to see from a strength perspective. But this could be the new range in the making. So maybe if price can hold these levels, let's say accumulate here, then you could watch if this is potentially the new base that's forming before higher. But beside that, yeah, not really something I'm super interested in, because you have not much below, and yeah, to the upside, mostly weakness. Sec. Wait, I have sec. That's Dutch. Sec. Let me first look at sec potential bullish PO3. I don't think so. I will look at the lower time frame, but if I watch it from here, then it looks pretty bearish. Look at wall day, feels like it could give that push to the high time frame range highs and seeing news on it. News as in the typical big cyclic announcement pushing positive flag news. Yeah, also expect to take out Ultimate before it will be dumped. Yeah, so what my main idea is, what I also shared yesterday, I think, is that we indeed have reasons to go to that range high. However, if we look at the structure, it can just be high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, can give the pullback, higher low, higher high. So the trend is super bullish. So I'm still looking at higher levels eventually. But yeah, from this perspective, you have nothing but gaps below you. So that means that you can very easily slide lower. But look at the... Yeah, I don't think it's a bullish PO3. To me, it looks more like a deviation before going back in the range. But I think there a lot of people will be trapped because they see this as a distribution, expect range low, but forget that you are in a high time frame uptrend. So then a higher low for a higher high is more likely. But I think if they want to push it much higher, that they have an incentive as well to take this liquidity, grab that, and then they have the fuel to push it higher again. Because then everyone that is already long, they probably put their stop loss here, or they have it here, or here, here, here. And then for market maker, it's attractive to take them out and then send it. So I think that is more likely. You guys probably were watching this range. This one, right? With high, low. Yeah, you can watch for it. You now have structure on the 15, pretty good structure. With lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So if you reclaim this internal structure, then it can be a PO3, but you are now also falling behind your deviation threshold, which means that if you don't see a quick buyback here, that this was the range, which is now breaking down. So then lower high for lower low is more likely. Especially with this fresh air below, looks pretty bearish to me. At least not bullish in short term. It's the volume profile. Yeah, even your value area low is up here. So then you want to see a strong push. And then maybe get in on the retest. But this is your deviation. And then try it on the retest. On the reclaim confirmation. But beside that, this could also very quickly slide lower. So high time frame, I still expect also higher levels. But in the short term, doesn't look too good to me. It keeps dumping though, so not looking so good anymore. It was strong earlier. Yeah, it can change quickly, of course. Jack and Tau, yeah. Yeah, I think for coming week, the cleanest ones are maybe SEC if we come down and look there for that higher low. Tao, super interesting for that short if we get it. And also like hype with this clean range. Where an accumulation is still the easier play because we're in a high time frame uptrend. So any accumulated behavior here can just be another continuation long. But if you start to clearly distribute, then it now also starts to make more sense after price pumped 50% this week. So you know that everyone was shorting hype all the time. And now they are probably getting bullish. And the moment the normies start to get bullish and only want to look for longs, that is the moment that the distribution start to make sense. So let's see what the sentiment is around it. But I think slowly but surely more and more people are already cutting now for $100. And that is when the distribution start to make more sense. The moment everyone starts shorting it, that is when shorts start to make sense. So I think that's most of it. BTC crazy range. Pure chop. Big bubble coming in. Oh. Why doesn't it show me? It is a big bubble, but I don't see the size, so that... Oh. That is a lot of open interest. Okay, it shows me a bit weird, so I'm gonna zoom out, but it seems like a big positioning here. What the fuck? Open interest ramping up heavily. Perps as well. And yeah, indeed, super big buying. Seems like buying at least. From the perps. Spot not. So that can be that a big player is trying to get a long. But that does not mean anything. Can also be shorts entering, so that keep that in mind. But seeing that delta is positive, it looks like big buying happening here. But yeah, price is doing the opposite. But we can watch maybe on low time frame if we can find absorption. Okay, let me zoom in further. What are they doing? Here, open interest ramping up. Perps are pushing up. Spot not doing anything. And indeed heavy buying here. Here, 58 million in this 1 minute candle and 72 million in this second candle. 130 million market buys at this level. So I'm not sure what they are doing or want to do. So far it's not, it can also be, sometimes you can think, oh, this is a market maker, but it can also be just a wheel. The same one that got liquidated on hype, for example. Trying to save his position or do anything. And these things can often play with your emotions. You think, oh, he's getting into a massive position. Let me get with him or join him or what the fuck, anything. But then it's always important to remember you still need your triggers as usual. Because unproven otherwise, this can just nuke. And if that big buyer here doesn't hold, then he's gonna get liquidated. And then it can just be extra sell pressure. So he bought at these levels. He's now down. So he will try to break at least local structure back to bullish. If he does that, maybe then you can do a little gamble and try to join him. But yeah, I would not know why someone is buying that heavy down here. You're not in a clean PY. You don't have a range. You just came down heavily. It's volume. It's quite a lot of volume. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure what or Trump is speaking in a few minutes, and Baron Trump is buying now. That could be something. Over 170 million. Yeah, I'm just looking at it, what it's showing me here. 58 in this and 72 in this 2-minute candles. But if you go to 5, then it probably aggregates them. But it doesn't show me the number. How far I zoom in, it doesn't show me the number. But yeah, essentially nothing changes for me. He's also underwater, so maybe someone. That's a funny thought to remember. Someone is watching the same 1-minute chart as us right now, sitting in a heavy position, and praying that it pushes higher, for example. And he's now watching price go lower, so he's sweating. Or he has infinite size and just moves the market, or he's stressing. And right now he thinks, oh, it's going better. But yeah, I have no idea what's happening here. Is gold or anything moving? Or the stock market? Let's quickly watch. Gold not doing anything. Stocks are not doing anything. Oil is also not doing anything. Yeah, so maybe it's an insider and there's some positive news, but if we want to trade it and we follow the rules, we have now tab 1, tab 2. This is our structure. Very internally. Low, lower high, lower low. So break that. Then maybe we can try to join him. There, stop loss there, and then see if the wheel wants to why can't I delete it? Wants to bring us higher. That would be the only way I would. Why can't I delete it? Yeah, it's interesting to watch, but the keys we can pilot fish the wheel. Could it be the pocket of the range the wheel is longing? It could be we are at the weekly point of control. But just that it's a wheel doesn't mean it has to mean anything. You have very stupid wheels who are just too rich. Because this is also not really a place, if you look at the candles, why would you market buy that much at that level? Often they scale in and then you see that accumulative behavior and then they scale in at the lows of the weeks. this is more like a newbie trying to, or just fat-fingered the position. Because often they have a lot of passive orders right here, all limit longs. Then they absorb it, and the moment they have accumulated enough, that's when they shoot their market orders in to push it higher. Right now, this does not look like it's holding by passive orders. Because that's how the market makers operate. They basically have a lot of limit orders stacked right here, and then you get that rounded effect. And then the moment they accumulated enough, that's when they hit the market buy. They clear the order books, and then it's pushing much higher. Get rid of all these drawings. Right now, I think it's 50-50. Either it's an insider that knows big news, or it's just someone that pressed a few zeros too much on this position. Hopefully, can I delete this all at once? No. Yeah, so let's see. However, I'm not gonna watch this this all the time. It's good weather outside, so I'm gonna enjoy the weekend. Gonna set an alert to see if he can move the price above here. Then maybe it's worth an attempt to trade with him. For now, it can also just be a big wheel, a single one. And if like the composite man sees this, he sees liquidity. So he thinks, oh, what the fuck? Someone is buying heavily. Let me wipe him out. Like maybe happening right now. Let's wipe that order out. And then I have even more liquidity to move the market. And it seems like either it holds right now, or that the player that bought just now is stressing like crazy right now. In the news, Michael Saylor says Bitcoin has bottomed. Buyback or not? It's Melania that has gotten into troops again. Are we in a strong PY? No. No. Okay, guys, I think yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but I think the buyer is stressing a bit right now. And in the end, for us, it doesn't change anything. All we have to ask ourselves is it a clean setup? Well, this does not look like a clean setup. Structure is also locally down. So at least wait for a bullish break if you want to join the trend or join the big player. But I think it might be just a stupid will, which the bigger players are gonna use as liquidity. But let's see, a lot of volume is going on right here. So let's see. I'm gonna enjoy the weekend. Finally some sun in the Netherlands, so I have to take advantage of that. And then all that rests me is to thank everyone for this amazing week again. The Discord, truly amazing. Keep saying it, but it's all on you guys that are here every day and in Discord. So truly appreciate it, and happy weekend, everyone. Make sure to enjoy it. Bitcoin has been chopping all week, so don't spend your whole weekend watching it. That's likely not worth it. So just set some alerts, enjoy the weekend, and then next week, hopefully we get some movements. But thanks everyone, and I'll speak to you guys in the Discord. Cheers.